Redditors, what is your earliest memory? My parents took me to the park. Now, my mom is terrified of birds, including ducks, as in, she will scream if they come near her. I remember suddenly a flock of ducks, swans, geese, all of those water birds, suddenly coming towards us. My mom, she let go of my hand and ran off screaming. My dad went after my mom. Me? Well, I became duck food. I am become bread, feeder of ducks. Definitely not my first memory, and slightly unrelated, but I lost my first tooth fighting a goose because it wanted to eat my sandwich. By fighting, I mean 5-year-old flailing, where I probably smacked myself in the face. Standing in my mom's room, asking her what my name was. I've got a memory from when I was a little older but still under 10 of laying in bed trying to go to sleep and thinking about names and forgetting what mine was for a few minutes. This is oddly unsettling and I love it. Walking up to a stranger on a ferry that was wearing the same very obscure jumper as my dad, hugging him and loudly proclaiming, "Daddy, I saw a dolphin." Quote. That's so adorable even though it wasn't your dad. I found my mom in a crowd at my brother's baseball game. I thought I'd be funny and smack her butt since she didn't see me. It wasn't my mom. Can still vividly feel the horror that came over me to this day. I faked swallowing a rock when I was 5 to leave kindergarten. Then I confessed when my mom and I were at the hospital about to get x-ray. Did you get it anyway? As a mom and former daycare teacher, I'd probably insist on it anyway to be sure you weren't just confessing to get out of the x-ray. I'm about 3.5 years old, and my dad wakes me up in the absolute dead of night and tells me to come down and watch TV. My mom's like, just let the kid sleep, but my dad says, no. This is important. Turns out, some guys have just landed on the moon and are about to go for a walk. Your dad is a real G. That's such a cool early memory. That is amazing of your dad to do. Me picking my nose, looking around and not finding anything to wipe it with, and then sticking the booger back in. My dad watched the whole thing. He laughed. Mad respect for not eating that lil fucker. Child version of me 100% would. Peeing on my sister's bed and blaming it on the dog. Haha, my friend's little brother was a bit of a bedwetter. One time he peed there and just blamed it on his little brother. I was 3 years old and playing with a toy cow in the living room of my old house. My grandma's poodle was there and I have no idea why, but I remember putting the cow down and sticking my pinky in the dog's mouth. He lightly nipped me and I remember feeling how pointy his teeth were. I wasn't hurt, just startled enough to learn not to do dumb shit like that again. Haha, wow, I watched my toddler try to touch the cat's eyeball this morning. Kids, man. My earliest memory is very similar. I was 3 or 4 and my grandparents' dog nipped me on the nose because I kept sticking my face in his face. They had warned me, and we were on our way to get pink bubblegum ice cream. I sure remember that ice cream too. My sister head-diving down the stairs when I was 2. Watched her from the bottom. She was fine, though. Kids bounce. Not my earliest memory, but I remember watching my younger brother somewhat successfully doing somersaults down the stairs. It was the landing that got him in trouble. This is kinda depressing, but my first clear memory is of my dad beating my mom until she fell on the kitchen floor. Then she got up and told me to get my doll and we got in the car and drove away from him. I was 3 at the most. My first memory is similar and at the same age. My dad was choking my mom out in the entrance hallway and my grandpa saw him, grabbed a massive cutlass and went at my dad. My uncle grabbed my grandpa and held him back tightly before he ended up in jail. My brother was months old and my grandma and great-grandma scooped both of us up and hid with us in a bedroom until it was over. I'm sorry you had to experience that at such a young age. I decay about you, but my memory definitely led to some trauma. As fucked up as it is to say, I'm glad that I'm not the only one with an early memory of their dad beating their mom. Makes me feel like I wasn't as alone as I felt. My mom was spoon-feeding my infant brother and she dropped the spoon in the bowl of soup. I thought it was gone forever in an infinite ocean of soup. And I was amazed when she got it back out. I think that was me learning object permanence. I thought it was gone forever in an infinite ocean of soup. I like the idea that soup bowls are bottomless portals to the soup dimension. Being told to go for a nap. I was around 2 to 3 at the time, and I refused because I wanted to keep playing and was being defiant. My dad repeatedly put me in my bed and said that I'll feel better if I lie down for a bit. I fell asleep and he woke me up 2 hours later. And shocker, I felt better. Lol. When I was in college I was having a shit day. And one of the reasons for my shit day was that my boyfriend was being niggly. Nothing actually bad, just kinda whiny and needy but standoffish at the same time. I was seriously considering just breaking up with him then and there. But we had plans for the night. So I just lay down on the bed to watch some TV, woke up an hour later with a completely different attitude. I told him about it, and it turned out he took a nap as well, and also pulled a 180. We both promised to sleep on any major decision we made in our relationship. Sometimes you just need a nap. Edit. Niggly is a real word and has nothing to do with race. My 1 year younger than me cousin was watching me eat a lollipop and got so confused when it was inside my mouth. She kept asking where it went. Then I took it out and showed her. Then I put it back in my mouth and she asked me again where it went. I was 3. She's still my best friend 39 years later. She's still my best friend 39 years later. That's sweet. Did she get smarter? This is called object permanence. It's a term used to describe a child's ability to know that objects continue to exist even though they are no longer seen or heard. This perception of objects typically lasts until a child is around the age of 2. If you're wondering why very young children love the game of peekaboo, that's why. Sig. Alright, one of my best friends tells this story to anyone that will listen. But my earliest memory is of sitting on the bathroom floor while my mom was changing her tampon. My dad came in and yelled, "What are you doing?" Quote, and she said, "He's not going to remember." Asterisk earliest clear memory. I think the earliest was of a drawing of a goat on a wall. This is why you never say that to your kids. It is like that phrase triggers a recording device in kids' brains. How old were you when the tampon incident happened? Did you tell your best friend that memory? Did that memory freak you out as a kid? I remember my first dream. I was young, around 3 maybe, and I had a dream a dog attacked me and nobody would help. Same. Except it was puppies in my case. I can picture it to this day. I remember my first nightmare was me and my family hiding from a giant spider monster in our first house. I moved a lot as a kid. That was hunting us. Must have been 3 to 4 at the time. In the nightmare, my dad died holding it off at first and it was only me and my sister left by the end hiding under a couch. That nightmare recurred for like 10 years until I was a teenager. Lol. Standing on the couch and consciously shitting my diaper. Once my parents had to give me a suppository. I was in a diaper at the time, so I was little. And I remember my parents holding me down and me thinking, if I pee, this will suck as bad for them as it does for me. And I did pee right on my mom. I was little enough that I didn't get in trouble or have to clean it up. I was a shithead. That was last weekend. Getting a Postman Pat beanbag chair at my Pizza Hut birthday party. Life has never been so good since. When my mom was pregnant with my brother, I could then beat her in races from the car to the front door. I remember trying to wrestle and play with my mom, but she was too pregnant with my brother.
Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.